Imagine this. From the moment you were a child, you were told to be kind, polite, and forgiving. But what if I told you that this very conditioning is the trap that has kept you weak, vulnerable, and easy to control? And this is exactly what Niccolo Machiavelli understood centuries ago when he wrote The Prince. Because in the real world, in the ruthless battlefield of power, kindness is not a virtue, it is a weapon used against the naive, a tool in the hands of manipulators, and if you do not learn to weaponize it or resist it, you will be destroyed by it. Machiavelli never said kindness itself is wrong, but he revealed the deeper truth that kindness without strategy makes you predictable, exploitable, and powerless. And in a society where predators disguise themselves as saints, where smiling faces hide hidden daggers, the kind person becomes the easiest victim, and history proves this again and again. Empires fall because kings trust the kindness of allies. Businessmen lose everything because they believed in partnerships built on goodwill, and ordinary people end up broken because they thought kindness guaranteed loyalty. But Machiavelli teaches us that loyalty is not born from kindness, it is born from fear, respect, and control. Because when people fear consequences, they obey, and when they simply like you because you're kind, they betray you the moment temptation appears. And in today's America, where the business world, politics, and even relationships are dominated by hidden psychological games, being kind without limits is like walking into a shark tank covered in blood. And here's the shocking part. The culture constantly preaches kindness as the highest virtue, but behind the scenes, those who climb to the top don't practice blind kindness. They practice calculated generosity, kindness with claws, giving only when it strengthens their position. And this is why Machiavelli's ruthless law of power matters now more than ever. Because if you want to thrive, if you want to stop being the prey and start becoming the predator, you must understand that kindness must always be balanced with control, timing, and boundaries, because too much kindness turns you invisible, turns you into a servant, turns you into the person people use and then discard, and the powerful know this, which is why CEOs, politicians, and leaders often appear charming and kind in public, but behind closed doors they are calculating every move, pulling strings, and crushing threats without hesitation, and the trap is believing the surface image while ignoring the ruthless truth beneath it. So what does this mean for you, watching this right now? It means every time you choose kindness without calculation, you are handing someone the knife they will use to cut you down. It means that when you apologize too much, when you forgive too easily, when you go out of your way to please others without demanding respect in return, you are sending a silent message. I am weak, I can be used, I can be controlled. And predators pick up on this instantly. They smell it, they exploit it, and they do it without guilt. Because in their Machiavellian mind, your kindness is not moral strength, it is a resource to exploit. So if you want to break free, if you want to live by Machiavelli's law, you must start seeing kindness as a strategy, not a default. You must learn to give when it strengthens your position, to forgive when it secures loyalty, to help only when it builds debt in others, because true kindness in the Machiavellian sense is not self-sacrifice. It is controlled generosity that binds people to you, makes them dependent, and traps them instead of you being trapped. And this is where psychology comes in, because modern psychology has proven that people respect strength far more than kindness. Studies show that leaders who are too nice are consistently rated as less competent, less respected, and more disposable, while those who set boundaries, enforce consequences, and occasionally use fear are rated as stronger, more reliable, and ironically, more respected in the long run. And this is exactly what Machiavelli said 500 years ago. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, because love based on kindness is fragile, but fear built on respect is unbreakable. So here's the brutal truth. Kindness is a trap because it convinces you that being liked is enough. But Machiavelli knew being liked is worthless without power, without leverage, without the ability to enforce your will. And that is why the kind suffer while the ruthless rise. And if you want proof, Just look at your own life. Think about the times you said yes when you wanted to say no, the times you helped people who never repaid you, the times you stayed quiet to avoid conflict while someone else took the opportunity, the times you forgave someone who disrespected you and they did it again. All of those moments were you walking straight into the trap of kindness, and each time you lost a piece of your power. But Machiavelli's law gives you the way out. Reclaim control. Stop apologizing for your strength. Stop trying to be universally liked, and start demanding respect. Because when you respect yourself first, others either rise to that standard or they disappear, and either outcome strengthens you. So here is your call to action. Be kind, but never without strategy, never without calculation, never without power. Because in the ruthless world of politics, business, and even love, blind kindness is suicide, and Machiavelli's wisdom is clear. If you want to rule, if you want to thrive, if you want to be unbreakable in a world built on manipulation, you must flip the script, stop falling for the trap, and use kindness as your weapon, not your weakness, because only then will you escape the prison of being liked and step into the arena of being respected, feared, and ultimately untouchable. Now let's go deeper. Because the biggest mistake people make is thinking Machiavelli only applies to kings and princes. But the truth is, his ruthless law of power applies to your job, your relationships, your friendships, even how strangers treat you. And the trap of kindness is more dangerous today than it was in Renaissance Italy, because back then people knew politics was cutthroat, they expected betrayal. But today society lies to you. It tells you that kindness will bring success, that being a good person is enough. But walk into any corporate office in America and watch who gets promoted. It's not the quiet worker who sacrifices everything for the team. It's the one who plays politics, who knows when to smile, when to flatter, and when to strike. And Machiavelli would laugh because he knew this game never changes, only the players do. And here's the cold truth. Every time you lead with kindness instead of calculation, you are advertising yourself as expendable. Because in a world where people respect strength, boundaries, and discipline, kindness without authority looks like weakness, and weakness gets crushed. So what does this mean for you personally? It means if you're always the nice guy or the sweet girl, you will always come last. Because predators sense you are safe, they sense you will not retaliate, and they use you until you have nothing left. And Machiavelli would tell you, if you want to rise, you must disguise your intentions, you must master appearances. Sometimes you must appear kind, appear generous, but only as a mask, because real kindness without power is slavery, but kindness controlled by power is influence. And this is the paradox Machiavelli forces us to confront. The same action, helping someone, forgiving someone, smiling at someone, can either make you powerful or powerless depending on the psychology behind it. And here's where dark psychology connects. Psychologists have studied compliance for decades, and they found that people who are too agreeable are exploited more, earn less, and suffer higher levels of stress, while those who balance kindness with assertiveness are not only more respected, they are more successful. So when Machiavelli says kindness is a trap, he's pointing to a psychological truth we can measure today. And think about this. When was the last time someone respected you more because you forgave them endlessly? Never, because repeated forgiveness without consequence doesn't inspire loyalty. It inspires contempt, and contempt is lethal. It erodes trust, it kills attraction, it destroys authority. So if you want to stop falling into the trap, you must set boundaries like iron. You must let people know that disrespect carries a cost, and this doesn't mean becoming cruel for no reason. It means understanding that cruelty is sometimes mercy, because by showing someone their limits, you protect yourself and even force them to respect you. And Machiavelli knew this. He wrote that a ruler who is too merciful invites chaos, but one who balances fear and mercy creates order. And in your life, this means stop tolerating disrespect from friends, from lovers, from co-workers, because every time you do, you are teaching them that you are safe to exploit. And once people believe that, the trap closes and you are finished. But if you switch, if you become unpredictable, if you stop giving kindness on demand, If you force people to earn it, suddenly the psychology changes. They chase your approval instead of using you. They respect your attention instead of expecting it. They value your forgiveness instead of taking it for granted. And this is exactly how Machiavelli wanted you to think. Power is not in how much kindness you give, but in how much control you have over when and how you give it. And when you master this, you flip the trap on others, because now they walk into your game believing they are receiving kindness, but in reality they are being bound by it, indebted, obligated, and dependent. And this is where true dominance lies, because those who take kindness for granted are enslaved by it when you turn it into a calculated gift instead of a free offering. And here's the final nail. America preaches kindness as the road to equality, but look at the ones who run the corporations, the ones who run the politics, the ones who control the wealth. They do not practice blind kindness. They practice Machiavellian kindness, ruthless generosity that always increases their leverage. And if you want to stop being used, if you want to escape the trap, you must learn this law, embody it, and live it every day. Because until you do, your kindness will keep feeding wolves who smile at you while sharpening their knives. But once you master it, your kindness becomes the chain that others wear while you hold the key. Here's the final layer Machiavelli forces you to see. Every system you live in, every community, every company, every family even, secretly punishes the overly kind and secretly rewards the strategically ruthless. And you can test this in your own life, because if you give endlessly to a friend, they start expecting it. But the moment you pull back, they call you selfish, which reveals the truth. They were never respecting your kindness. They were addicted to your compliance. And this is the brutal trap Machiavelli tried to rip open, because he knew human nature is not noble, it is selfish, opportunistic, and primitive. And if you do not align with that reality, you become its victim. So stop believing the lie that being endlessly nice will win you love or loyalty. It won't, because love without respect dies, and respect without boundaries is impossible. And in America especially, the culture loves to preach kindness, but practices power. Just look at politics. Billionaires donate to charity not out of compassion, but out of influence. Every act of kindness is designed to create obligation, and you must learn this law if you don't want to be crushed, because once you understand that kindness should never be unconditional but always strategic, you will see the world with new eyes. You will stop chasing approval and start demanding respect. You will stop wasting energy proving your goodness and start channeling it into control. And here's where psychology merges with Machiavelli perfectly. Studies on dominance and social hierarchies show that leaders who balance warmth with strength are seen as the most influential. But those who only show warmth are ignored, dismissed, and disrespected. So ask yourself, do you want to be liked for a short while or respected for a lifetime? Because being liked is cheap, but being respected is priceless. And Machiavelli understood that respect requires fear, not terror, but the fear of consequence, the fear of crossing you, the fear of losing your value. And if you never instill this fear, people will step over you like a doormat. And here's the paradox that makes people uncomfortable. True kindness actually requires you to be feared, because if people don't fear losing you, they will never value your kindness. But if they do, then even the smallest gesture from you feels powerful, unforgettable, and binding. And this is the essence of Machiavellian psychology. Never give kindness for free. Make people pay for it with loyalty, effort, respect, or obedience. And when you do this, kindness stops being a trap and becomes a weapon, one that binds others to you without chains, one that makes people dependent on you without realizing it, and one that ensures you are never taken for granted again. And this is where you have to decide. Will you keep living as prey, feeding others with your kindness until you are empty, or will you step into the ruthless truth, seize control, and weaponize your kindness like Machiavelli intended? Because the choice is yours, but understand this. If you don't choose, the world will choose for you, and you will always end up as the one betrayed, overlooked, and discarded. So remember, in this life, kindness is not the currency of power, It is the camouflage of those who want to disarm you, but the moment you stop falling for it, the moment you learn to play the game, you stop being the hunted and become the hunter. And that, right there, is the ruthless law Machiavelli left for those willing to open their eyes.